Hello guys and welcome to another video, and it's Daily Race C at Autopolis this week. This is the Daily Race C of this week, and there are a couple of interesting things that are going to happen in this video. The first one being that I really didn't know which car is the best one, so I took this GR Supra. By the way, my car of choice for the first race here was the GR Supra, and I didn't really know if it was going to be a competitive one or not. It was competitive in the qualifying, and as you can see, this is also a very competitive lobby, so I needed a competitive car. I didn't really know how much fuel should I be saving per lap. I knew, okay, it's about 10% more or less, give or take. It depends on where you just save fuel, where you don't, but it depends on how you save it and how much you actually need to save it. So if it's going to be like revving it up or just using fuel maps, or if it's just going to be a little bit of short shifting, and it will be enough. So I just wasn't sure what was the strategy here. And I started short shifting, and as you can see, we're not even halfway into the lap and I've already burned 6% of fuel, which is kind of an issue, to be honest, because halfway there, burning 1% more per lap, which is in the end going to mean that I will run out of fuel just a lap before the finish. So I need to save more, and at this point I realized, okay, I will need to use fuel maps if I want to make it till the end, but at the same time I need to maintain pace. So here it's kind of a, let's say it was a very competitive one. As you can see, Antonio got really close to me, and he was just, you know, he was always very close, and he was in that GT Citroen, I believe it is, and that car was really quick. I didn't expect that much from that car, but I just had to use fuel maps. I mean, fuel map 2 to 3, that was kind of perfect. I mean, I was even behind the Brit, and here we are just saving as much fuel as possible, and of course you just need to maintain the pace. So here it was actually looking pretty decent. I had the fastest first sector, which is always a good thing. But now, I mean, I made this little mistake. I mean, just going sideways slightly, and you can see how quickly he gets closer to me, and just incredible. So here, just once again, first gear, second gear on the way out, just making the car slide, but not slide too much, and this gap little opens up, and he just squeezes himself in there and takes the spot. I really tried to defend, but he had the inside, and it's very difficult to defend on the outside of this corner, which again leads to the outside of the next corner. Again, it's a very sharp one, and there is almost no chance of defending this position right now, and I got myself into P3, so I lost one place. I mean, this is not usually how I want to start my race, but I really wanted to focus on fuel saving and eventually finishing up this race without an incident and just finishing it up. I mean, you just want to finish the race. I mean, still, it's a podium. We are, let's say, moving away from the guy in P4 and with pretty much for the rest of the pack, and at this point it's looking decent. I mean, we are all driving almost the same, I mean, almost the same pace, almost the same lap times. I can say it was almost the same because it wasn't. I was in the slipstream, and my car is getting so much oversteer. I just couldn't control it. I was even using fuel map 3, which in the end kind of does not deliver the full output to the rear wheels, but it was more than enough to rotate the car. So it's quite a snappy car, to be honest. It's an FR car, but at the same time the back really gets loose. So you have to kind of manage the back end if you really want to get this one done. So here, as you can see, once again, just really trying hard to stay with these guys up in front, but at the same time saving fuel. So this section was a really difficult one because, I mean, I had to save fuel, but at the same time it was kind of I can call it a power stretch, where you just had to really take the most out of the engine and carry on. So you really needed that horsepower on the straight. But then I saw that I had someone behind me, and it's not someone, it's the world champion, the Nations Cup world champion. It's Valerio Gallo, and he's in the 4C. I wasn't quite sure what tires was he on, or what was his strategy, or how much fuel he had. I didn't think I even checked how much fuel he had at this point, but later I found out that he was on the medium tires, and at this point I was like, okay, he's maybe too quick to the corners. I know he's a world champion, but again, I'm just gonna move out of the way because I don't want to lose any more time, and we are gonna be going into P4. So race started, I just lost 2 places. I mean, it's fine. I'm still in the slipstream, I'm still saving fuel, and at this point it was like, okay, these guys are starting to fight, I might get something out of that, you know, it's not over yet, I still have potential podium in this one. I don't know exactly how much fuel and what tires is Valerio on. Maybe, you know, he's running a different strategy. I wasn't quite sure at this point. Later on in the replay, it was really obvious. I mean, he was so much quicker than everyone else on the track, but he was on the medium tires. So if he was on the mediums, mandatory tires were the hards, so he had to at least pit once, or it, you know, just it. He would, I think in the end it's a 1 minute penalty if you don't pit and if you don't change the tires, so it's not worth it. And of course here, if you're probably wondering why am I starting on the hards and doing this whole race on the hards, is that you lose too much time in the pits and it's absolutely not worth it. So you have to do the whole race on the hard tires. Here, I mean, once again, getting very, very close after this little snap of oversteer, and then we're just trying to squeeze ourselves in this place. But again, this oversteer is killing me. I'm really trying to squeeze myself in this little tiny space that he's given me, but it just isn't enough. So this circuit is incredibly, incredibly difficult to overtake on. I mean, to be overtaken, sometimes it's a little bit too easy, as I just demonstrated a couple of laps earlier, but 9 out of 10 laps, and as you can see, I'm getting closer, but it's never close enough. And even if you get close enough, he can just close the doors down the inside and it's not going to be enough, as he did here. So there is no way of getting on the outside of this corner. The camber isn't just right, and you know, just lose about 2/10 if you even try it. So even trying that loses about 2/10. And then I realized something was off and he is out of the race. So Valerio just quit his race. He realized that, you know, he's not even going to grab the podium, or not even going to grab like the top 10, because you lose so much time in the pits and it's absolutely not worth it. And yeah, I really tried to push, I really tried to save the fuel at the same time. 2% of fuel at the finish straight, and there it was, 1%, and carrying, you know, it's kind of okay. It's a podium, it's 2 seconds behind the lead, you know, it's actually a pretty decent first race. So it could have been worse, it actually could have been a lot worse. And we're jumping into the second race, and as you probably noticed, I almost forgot to change tires. So it's crucial to change the tires, and I had about 2 seconds left until the timing was off. I mean, warm-up ended about, I think, a second, yeah, the second before I changed my tires. So it was like really, really quick change of tires, and it was like really the last minute that I've changed it. I mean, of course, guys, really check your tires. And as you're probably wondering from the thumbnail, this is the car that I'm driving. Now it's the Ferrari 458. Why am I using this car? This car is really good on fuel. It's quite understeery, but at the same time, you can really extract all of that horsepower and you can just push, I mean, pretty much pushed for the whole race. You might short shift a little bit, but it's not as significant as with the GR Supra. So I think this one, or this car, is optimal for the race. So there are a couple of other cars that you can use, but I think this one was by far the best one on fuel. I think also the WRX is fine, but not really decent on this circuit. But this car was kind of all around the place. I mean, it had everything. It had straight line speed. Cornering was okay. As I said before, it is quite understeery. At the same time, you can lose the car about the oversteer. So it's quite a snappy car, but at the same time, you just need to take care of everything. It's just a difficult car to drive, but it's really rewarding. And this is something that I didn't try to do. And immediately I thought, okay, this is not going to be fair. I mean, it was a dive bomb, so yeah, it's lap 2. I'm just going to give the place back. I didn't lose anything. And, you know, it just was my bad. I completely missed my braking point, and I think it was the right thing to do. Just give the place back. Don't think too much about it. And yeah, you know, I lost the lead, but in the end, I think it was actually it was the right thing to do at this point when I think about it, and it was the right thing to do in the race. So yeah, I missed my braking point. We lost a couple of seconds, maybe we lost a second and a half, 2 seconds. But then lap 3, then once again Antonio is getting really, really close, and just in that Lamborghini, he's under, or I am under so much pressure from behind, but I also gotta attack the guy in front of me, so it's kind of a difficult thing to do. So I just try to move on the right, kind of decide to defend this place, because he was supposed to go for that. I mean, I just know that if I didn't defend it, he would absolutely go for it. And we are just going along and, you know, carrying the speed through this whole section. I think the Lamborghini didn't really had that much speed here in the middle section. More speed on the straight and more speed on the acceleration, but it was quite a decent car overall. I wasn't expecting that the Lamborghini is going to be so good. And hairpins, I think that was a little better on the Ferrari side. So the 458 had a slightly better cornering speed than the Lamborghini. Also, the Lamborghini is one of the cars that are, you know, incredibly fast on the straight line, so for him it's kind of easier to defend, easier to attack. But in general, if you're driving a Ferrari, it's also quick on the straight, so you don't have to worry too much about it. So here, lap number 6, and I kind of got really close to the leader and even had the fastest first sector. And, you know, always to have a fastest anything, it's just, you know, it's really good. I mean, it's a really good indicator that you're fast. I mean, I had the slipstream, of course, but I was saving fuel, and I thought at this point, maybe, you know what, if I try to push it here, if I really try to close down the gap, maybe that spot, that little space will open up and I will possibly be able to grab this position. But it just didn't. I mean, he really built up the gap, and then I was once again under threat from Antonio, and this was one of the most interesting situations that we had so far in this afternoon. And it was, yeah, I don't know, you guys decide what happened here. I just tried to decide, I mean, very late I decided to kind of defend this one, and then look at this stuff. I was like, okay, what happened? Like, absolutely what happened? I looked at it from a couple of angles. I made this kind of double move, but I still left the door open for him. He could have had it if he braked properly, I guess. You guys be the judge. Let me know down in the comments what do you think about this one. I made a double, yeah, I made a double move, and then he just missed his braking point. I mean, yeah, missing braking point, but I think the best view was from this car. So I just go into the right once, I'm going to the right twice, but I'm still giving him enough space, and then he just slams into the leader. And, you know, unfortunately, yeah, it was actually very fortunate for me, but I guess he at least waited for him, which was kind of a nice gesture out of all of that. And, you know, guys, once again, let me know what you think about this situation. I don't think it was my fault. It was a double move. I mean, I made a double correction, but in the end, I don't know, I gave enough space. It was just about good enough to actually make the turn. So I think it was just late braking and missed his braking point, which in the end got me the first win and the only win of the afternoon, 19:02. It was, I think, not even my best finishing time. I mean, considering all of the things that happened, it even should have been. So guys, I really hope that you enjoyed in this one, and please let me know down in the comments what do you think about the situation. So until the next time, bye.